Right, a very good evening to you and welcome to KUTV Primetime News. Now, a lot has been happening in the country and beyond our borders, and we are here to bring you up to speed with exactly that. But before we do so, the highlights. Three people died on the spot and others injured in an accident involving a school bus along Meru-Nairobi Highway. Kenya Kwanza forwards its response on the presidential petition at the Supreme Court as Raila Odinga reaffirms faith in the justice system. Late Embakasi East returning officer is laid to rest as IEBC workers sue the commission over the restriction to join union groups. Research data revelations raise concerns over toxic milk consumption in Rift Valley counties. A warm welcome to the broadcast. I'm in the company of Paul Wakoli and I go by the name Daphne Orina. Let's get started. 3 people died on the spot while several others were injured after a school bus and a lorry involved in an accident along Meru-Nairobi Highway today morning. A primary school child was among the casualties of the incident.
A primary school pupil, a bus driver, and a lorry driver have perished in a morning accident that occurred at Ntarene area of Imenti South along the Meru-Nairobi Highway. The accident involved a lorry and a school bus. The lorry was coming from Nkubu Town heading to Kanyakine, while the bus, belonging to Kamiguru Education Center Academy, was headed to Nkubu Town to pick pupils. According to the eyewitnesses, the overspeeding lorry lost control, hitting the school bus head-on, consequently pushing it to the nearby river. The 3 died on the spot. Ntarene Location Chief Ms. Isabella Mutura confirmed the incident, underlining that the 3 bodies were moved to Meru Teaching and Referral Hospital mortuary, while those sustaining injuries have been taken to Consolata Mission Hospital in Nkubu for treatment. Joseph Oyomo, Primetime News, KUTV.
Well, quite a very unfortunate incident. Now, through preliminary objections, the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya legal team has opposed petitions filed by former Gatundu South MP Moses Kuria. The Chama cha Kazi party leader had filed a petition citing the violence at the Bomas of Kenya, which he alleged as caused by Azimio's agents to stall IEBC boss Wafula Chebukati from executing his duties. The coalition is supporting all the other petitions except the 2. Elsewhere, the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition flag bearer Raila Odinga today expressed his belief in the court system and hope that justice will be served in regards to the petition he filed to decline the results of the presidential election as announced by the IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati.
Azimio la Umoja One Kenya leader Raila Odinga has expressed confidence with the justice system with the presidential petition currently in the Supreme Court's kitchen. Speaking while campaigning for ODM's Kakamega gubernatorial race hopeful Fernandez Baraza, Odinga called on the electorate to vote early in Monday's polls.
Sisi tulishinda tena kwa ushindi mkubwa. Mtaona kule mahakama ikianza kusikia kesi hiyo wiki ijayo. Angalieni televisheni, nasikizeni radio, mtaona yale maovu ambayo itatoka, ambayo inanuka.
In a public rally in Kakamega County, Odinga showed support for Baraza, whom he termed as the best pick for the county to succeed the outgoing governor Wycliffe Oparanya.
Sasa mimi nataka nyinyi siku ya Jumatatu mthibitishe tena ya kurudi kwa kiwanja kupiga kura ili Baraza na Masabula wachaguliwe kama gavana na naibu wake. Mtafanya namna hiyo? Mtafanya namna hiyo?
Fernandez, on the other hand, expressed his doubt towards the Electoral Commission led by Wafula Chebukati, saying that the postponement of the gubernatorial election was a conspiracy to interfere with the presidential elections.
Sisi wana Kakamega hatuna imani na Wafula Chebukati. Yeye alikuwa na njama ya kuiba kura ya baba, ndiposa akasema kura ya ugavana yaahirishwe tarehe 9. Mimi kama baraza nilipeleka Chebukati kotini. Nikamwambia lazima watu wa Kakamega wachague gavana. Ametupatia tarehe 29. Watu wangu wa Lurambi, ikifika Monday saa 12 asubuhi tuende kwa mlolongo tupigie baraza kuu.
Both Kakamega and Mombasa County have been scheduled to conduct the gubernatorial election on Monday 29th of August following its postponement by the IEBC.
Kura ya ugavana yaahirishwe tarehe 9. Mimi kama baraza nilipeleka Chebukati kotini.
Well, with tomorrow, the 27th of August, being the final day for responses by respondents mentioned in the presidential election petitions filed with the Supreme Court, lawyers who are part of William Ruto's legal team have submitted the 9th respondent's response to the Supreme Court.
27th August would mark the end of the 4-day period set aside to allow respondents in the presidential election petitions to submit their response to the Supreme Court. Today, the Kenya Kwanza's legal team has submitted its response, led by Professor Kithure Kindiki, who is part of the 54 lawyers who will be defending Ruto's election. Through the response filed, Ruto argues that Azimio la Umoja One Kenya leader Raila Odinga has a record of consistently disputing presidential election results and forcing handshake governments. Ruto, among other issues, continues to argue that the petitioners produced falsified logs in support of their claims on the alleged hacking or infiltration of IEBC systems. Odinga has copy-pasted President Donald Trump's allegations of 2020 by suggesting and alleging that Ruto intercepted, staged, altered, and dumped more than 11,000 Forms 34A within 8 minutes.
Wait for the others to come. Our staff will continue.
Ruto's response has also raised 3 key issues, including whether the petitioners committed election offences directly or through their agents and supporters during the campaign period under the National Tallying Centre. Depending on the first issue, can the court declare the petitioners winners of the election given the provisions of the Elections Act? And lastly, whether some or most of the reliefs the petitioners seek are ultra vires Article 140 Section 3 of the Constitution. In his depositions in response to the petitions, Ruto believes that IEBC conducted elections in substantial compliance of the law and that the elections were free, fair, simple, transparent, accurate, and verifiable. Ruto also argues that errors and irregularities alleged by the petitioners do not exist, and if they do, they are negligible and cannot affect the integrity, credibility, process, or results of the election. He also says that the petitioners' agents fully participated in the whole voting process and further declaration of results at polling stations, constituency tallying centers, and the National Tallying Center until the tail end of the process when his win became clear. While addressing the media after filing their response, Kindiki says they have a strong defense. This unfolds as the timeline of events continues to flow, which will ultimately lead to the 5th September, by which or before which the Supreme Court is expected to give its ruling on the matter. Mutweri Eliud, 4KU TV.
Well, away from that, outgoing Kitui Governor Charity Ngilu led a delegation of Kamba communities living in Changamwe and Jomvu constituencies to endorse the ODM governor candidate Abdul Samad Nasir. Addressing her community living in Mombasa in a gathering held in Changamwe sub-county, Ngilu urged her community living in Mombasa to support Nasir, saying that he was the best person to lead the county. Ngilu said that they will be in Mombasa from Saturday together with the Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, campaigning for Nasir and ensuring that he wins the Monday elections.
Agenda yetu ya kwanza ni mambo ya uchumi. Na tumeonesha na tumeeleza njia ya kuweza kufufua uchumi wetu. Ikiwemo ni lazima tupunguze bei za leseni ili biashara ndogo ndogo ziweze kupanda. Ikiwemo pia vile kuendeleza ile program ya Special Economic Zone na Industrial Park ili watu wetu wengi wapate ajira. Yakiwemo ni mambo ya kupigania kama nilivyopigania siku zote mambo ya bandari ya Mombasa, services ziregee hapa, uchumi wetu uweze kuregea katika Mombasa.
Tunataka kubaliana na wewe ya kwamba wamesema hawa na wameweka mkono juu watakupatia kura, lakini wakumbuke wako mbali sana na pale wanatoka. Hawa wote unatuona hapa, tunatoka Makueni, tunatoka Machakos, tunatoka Kitui na tunataka Mwingi. Hiyo ndio county zetu za Ukambani. Kwa hivyo wewe ndio utakuwa baba na mama wa hawa watu wa Ukambani.
Still on the drum rolls of politics, Ugenya Member of Parliament-elect David Ochieng has become the latest elected leader to decamp from the Raila Odinga-led Azimio la Umoja One Kenya and joined President-elect William Ruto's Kenya Kwanza alliance. Speaking upon reception by the President-elect's current residence, the Movement for Democracy and Growth Party leader stated that they have found friendship in Ruto's alliance. Former Kisumu Senator Fred Outa, former Kisumu Town West MP Olago Oluoch, and former Kisumu Governor Jack Ranguma accompanied Ochieng in denouncing the MDG party's support for Odinga.
Impressed by the fact that you've promised us in our discussions that you're not going to leave anybody behind as you go out in implementing the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto. Number two, and also most importantly, is that as a country, this need to nurture leaders. As we grow the country, we must move from independence through post-independence into the future. And that future can only be there if there's room for nurturing young leaders going forward.
Inspector General of Police Hilary Mutyambai has taken a break from his official duties as he tends to personal health matters. Mutyambai, in a statement to Newsroom, said he is set to undergo a medical checkup during the unspecified period of the hiatus. Mutyambai has nominated his deputy Nur Gabo as acting IG. Well, it is 13 minutes past the top of the hour. Time for me to take a short commercial break. We'll be back after this.
Technology, science, innovation, ICT and research. These are the ingredients upon which the solutions to the 21st century problems are founded. In a world that is rapidly changing, it's all hands on deck to ensure a balance in all fields of life. Women, young and old, are also in the front line, breaking the glass ceiling, becoming thought leaders in the larger tech space. forgetting other societies marginalized. And when the Tech Avengers come together, we inch closer to a much safer, efficient, and sustainable world. What we view as a norm in today's advanced world was just an idea, and for nostalgic reasons, we trace back to the iconic days to bring you the Retro Tech. On Technovation Show, we encapsulate all the pillars of the fourth industrial revolution, decoded in a language, all for one for all. Make a date with me, Samson Jura, every Monday at 8:30 as we push the mantra, keep learning something new each and every day. Only on KUTV, a new experience.
This and that you study. If you're not in class, you're in the field.
Najua students napenda kulala.
What I do when I get broke?
If the money is not enough, we find some of us when tunaingia in betting.
Tu kuna challenges mingi.
But now we're here 4 years later about to graduate. What do I say?
Huu ni mkojo wa ng'ombe ambao wako hapa, na huu mtaro unawezesha mkojo kupita na kuingia katika mfumo wa kutengeneza biogas.
Ng'ombe ndio mtu akwe na the lowest cost. Inafaa wewe mwenyewe hata kama hauna shamba upande, you just hire a piece of land upande chakula rather than kununua.
Leo kusema kweli nimejaliwa kumpata mtaalamu wa mapishi katika hoteli ya hapa North Coast Beach Hotel. Atakuwa anafanya maandalizi ya mwaru bajia. Kwa hivyo najua tu mati tayari yashaanza kujiandaa, yani yadondoke.
Leo nimepanga kuandalia mwaru bajia. Pia unaweza kula kama snacks ama lunch ama dinner. Na sana sana kwa chai ya saa 4, chai ya saa 10 pia.
Hodi na ingia nazirejesha salamu, mlango walopitia kuvitamini haramu, najua mna hamu.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Let's carry on. The slain Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission ABC official Daniel Mbolu Musyoka was laid to rest today in Muwani village in Machakos County. Among those at the burial ceremony was IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati, CEO Marjan Hussein, Commissioners Abdi Guliye and Bolu Moya. The 53-year-old was the Embakasi East returning officer in the just concluded general elections. He was declared missing by IEBC boss Wafula Chebukati on the 11th of August and later found murdered at Oloitoktok in Kajiado County days after he was reported missing. He was 53 years old. Government pathologists have been unable to identify his cause of death. He is survived by his wife Tabitha Mbolu and 2 children. Well, may his soul rest in eternal peace. The Secretary General of the Kenya Independent Commission's Workers Union, Njeru Kanyamba, has announced the Commission's intentions to put on notice the IEBC Chairman, Mr. Wafula Chebukati, and his Secretary, Mr. Hussein Marjan, on their alleged abuse of law, citing refusal by the Commission to permit its workers to join union societies.
The Secretary General of the Kenya Independent Commission of Workers Union, Mr. Njeru Kanyamba, has announced that the union intends to fight for the rights of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission commissioners and the removal of the IBC chair Wafula Chebukati alongside his CEO, Mr. Hussein Marjan.
We wish to put on notice the chairman and the CEO of the commission, Mr. Wafula Chebukati and Hussein Marjan, that they have continued to preside over a commission that does not respect the Constitution of Kenya, Article 41, and the Labor Relations Act, Article 4, or Section 4.
Mr. Kanyamba stated that the union has sought to defend the rights of all IEBC employees who had been denied the right to join a union. He stated that Chebukati and Marjan refused to allow the employees to join the union, despite it being a provision of the law in the Constitution of Kenya under Article 41 and the Labor Relations Act.
Since 2016, when this union was registered, we have been talking to the IEBC to allow its employees to join the union. But the commission managers, that is the chairman, and particularly the CEO, who we have been writing to for very many times, they have utterly refused to allow its employees to join the union.
He further added that the union will demand that the Electoral Commission provide security for officers, especially during the election period. The union has previously sued the IEBC in a case lodged in 2019, the outcome of which granted orders to the union to register IEBC officers as its members. Mr. Kanyamba, however, alleges that although its petition was granted, the IEBC failed to follow through. The union thus reinstated the matter on the 25th of August, where the matter is still pending in court.
Following that there is a matter pending in court, I must indicate that we sued the union, the commission. This union sued the commission, and that the matter is in court, pending in court. And as yesterday we were in court, and we are going back on 15th and 11th of October so that the matter is heard.
A case to determine the outcome of the petition is slated to be heard on the 11th of October, of which Mr. Kanyamba is confident of winning.
Well, today is the second day for the orientation process for the newly elected members of parliament that commenced yesterday at the parliament buildings in Nairobi, and the MPs-elect arrived in numbers to attend the exercise. The activities include collections of the MPs' biodata and familiarization with parliamentary procedures.
The orientation process of the newly elected members of parliament continued today after its commencement yesterday at the parliamentary building in Nairobi. The first-time MPs and those who were lucky to be re-elected flocked the parliamentary grounds to submit their documents as they get familiarized with the parliamentary procedures. The exercise also includes issuance of parliamentary identification cards, tour of parliament buildings, and briefings on the use of chamber voting system, among others. The MPs-elect were required to present their document, among them the original certificate of the elected member of National Assembly, issued by the IEBC returning officer, original ID or passport, KRA PIN, and a copy of updated CV. After the orientation session today, the acting clerk, Sarah Kioko, is expected to inform of the first sitting of the 13th Parliament, where she will administer the oath of office to members before they elect the Speaker and Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly. The swearing-in of the new MPs-elect is supposed to take place not more than 30 days after the election. President Uhuru Kenyatta is expected to chair the first sitting of the 13th Parliament as the Supreme Court battle between President-elect William Ruto and the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition presidential candidate Raila Odinga continues. Patrick Oduor, KUTV, Nairobi.
That aside, the Cabinet Secretary for Education, Professor George Magoha, today inspected and commissioned CBC classrooms at AIC Kosirai Girls High School in Chesumei, Nandi County, Two other classrooms at Gishu High School, Eldoret, and Moi Girls High School in Eldoret, Gishu County. Magoha says that less than 900 classrooms are to be completed by next week Friday. He assured that the candidates will have their exams at the right time and said that he interacted with some students and said that they are ready for the exams.
Our children are moving on steadily despite other issues that are taking place in the country. We are focused in terms of getting prepared to deliver the classrooms, and of the 10,000 classrooms we have now done more than 9,000, and for the second set we are at about 90%, which means we have 10% to go, and we are rushing against time. But it's important also to note that most of the remaining classrooms are at roofing level, with a few at walling level. And it is a target that we as a government will deliver by the grace of God towards the end of next week, or latest by the other week Monday. So that if and when the new government takes over, it gets a clean house without broken chairs, without broken pots, and they can plan going forward.
Our children are probably the fastest learners in the world, and today we meet the Young Dragons, a group of children training in delivering proper blows for self-defense.
Through her Young Dragons Academy that she established in 2008, Elizabeth Rakwaro, the coach and founder of this karate club, has managed to train over 500 children, a mixture of skills such as karate, kung fu, basic discipline and other life skills.
Hiki kikundi chetu cha Young Dragons Karate Academy nilikianzisha mwaka wa 2008 na nilienda nikaomba shule pale Kenyatta Primary, ambapo mimi ni neighbor hapo. Nikaongea juu niliona kuna umuhimu wa kuchukua watoto from the slums, juu niliona yale walikuwa wanapitia. Unakuta mtoto anatumiwa na watu.
Luckily, the driven team has represented the country in karate and taekwondo at national levels, East African region and also international level, having been to the United Kingdom early last year. Majority of the children whom she has enrolled come from the notorious Kiandutu, Makongeni, Athena, Kiganjo and Kachaki slums, most of whom the coach says are from poor backgrounds. Rakwaro and the team's greatest plan is to save the children from exploitation, and thus karate plays a major role in shaping one's discipline and the academic performance.
Kwa nini ni wafundishe self defense? Niliangalia penye wanatoka. Hapo mbeleni tulikuwa na challenge Kenya ya rape cases. Umesikia mtoto ameripiwa, mtoto ameripiwa. Mimi nifikiria nikuja nifundishe mtoto, si ati idea kapigani. Mtoto akuje awe ajue anaweza kujidefend.
Kilabu chenyewe ni cha watoto ambao tunaweza sema ni less unfortunate. We have children from slums, the main slums in Thika.
Parents of these karate kids have acknowledged the help that the Young Dragons Academy have accorded their children, including the reduced rate of insecurity in Thika slum.
Nimeona amenisomeshea mtoto, alifanya class 8 na sasa ameingia form 1. Sikuwa na hiyo uwezo, lakini kupitia yeye amefanya huyo mtoto hata aende shule. Bali na huyo hata huyo mwingine bado ile shule tena alimpeleka. Ni shule mzuri sana na ninafurahia sana juu singeweza. Kwa hivyo hii klabu iko na mafanikio.
They have called on the government and well-wishers to help them get a training hall to be favorable for the children to beat the effects of harsh weather and be able to admit more in their program. For KUTV News, I am Anne Odida.
Well, now, Marsabit County is among those affected by adverse climatic conditions that make life rather difficult for the residents. However, in a statement of their desire to be tallied among those on the conservation agenda, the area's residents have embraced a cooking alternative with the environment in mind.
Marsabit County, a striking land of beauty in the arid and semi-arid areas of Kenya. extreme harsh environment constantly challenging the lives of local community and wildlife population. The area receives relatively low amount of annual rainfall, susceptible to drought and flooding. The area is considered to be at risk of desertification.
The climate change has become real, and the communities, local communities here, they are finding it very hard to adapt. As a department, we also create awareness, train people, so that at least they can change their thinking and adopt the new changes.
Necessity is the mother of invention. The harsh climatic change and the ever-growing rate of drought and famine in this region brought together a group of young and visionary Nesserian youth who have invented an improved cooking stove that has become a source of livelihood to many.
Hii jiko inatumia kuni kidogo, labda kuni 2-3, kitu kama hiyo. So inasaidia kupunguza uharibifu wa mazingira, kwa sababu unakuta mara kwa mara mama anaenda anajaza mgongo mkuni huko msituni, anakuja anatumia siku moja ama 2, kesho kutwa anarudi. So kwa hii jiko vile imesaidia mama akienda kuleta hizo kuni zote kujaza hiyo mgongo, anaweza tumia wiki mzima.
About 8% of Kenyan women in rural areas spend about 1 to 5 hours looking for fuelwood. Statistics has it that in some areas, particularly in arid and semi-arid areas, they spend 3 to 5 hours because of the long distance they have to cover in search of firewood and water. Besides bridging the gap they had to cover in search of precious commodity, jiko kisasa, as many call it, has enormous benefit to the locals.
Inatumia kuni 2. Haina moshi. Inarahisisha chakula. Yaani I take time kama kitambo. So wakaona ni kitu mzuri sana. Ndio sasa tukaanza kutafuta, wakaanza kununua.
Youth here can find alternative source of livelihood in a region that continue to witness high level of poverty among others.
One of the things we considered when we are doing this project of supporting youths to use the natural resources within their area to produce energy saving jikos for the community is to help them gain employment or get a livelihood out of what they are doing, and also at the same time we are promoting environmental conservation.
Although the road ahead has its own pros and cons, Stephen and the co has taken the mantle to fight against deforestation to mitigate the looming crisis in Marsabit County. Auma Evans, KUTV.
Well, more to come after this break.
Driving and riding without incidences on the road is such an amazing experience. But do you know while many road traffic crashes are avoidable, human behavior continues to be the leading cause. Speeding, lane indiscipline, drunk driving, distracted driving, failure to wear a helmet, and failure to use available pedestrian ways have been flagged by NTSA as the fatal 6 behaviors likely to lead to a fatal crash and serious injuries. As part of the Usalama Barabarani campaign, we request all road users to prevent these fatal 6 behaviors for their own safety and that of others. When driving, ensure your speed is within the stipulated limits. The road ahead is clear before overtaking. Stick to your lane. Keep left unless carefully overtaking. You're well rested if driving on long distances, and you never drink and drive. Usalama Barabarani starts with you. Fika Salama. This message is brought to you by the National Transport and Safety Authority and the European Union.
Repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law Matters.
Lola ni programu inayokupa fursa ya kutizama video zozote pindi tu unapokuwa na nafasi. Hadithi za kukupa motisha, drama, maisha ya vyuo vikuu, teknolojia, masuala ya jamii, kuzuru maeneo tofauti, spoti, burudani na zaidi. Pata programu ya Lola sasa kwenye rununu yako kwa yote unayohitaji.
Technology, science, innovation, ICT and research. These are the ingredients upon which the solutions to the 21st century problems are founded. In a world that is rapidly changing, it's all hands on deck to ensure a balance in all fields of life. Women, young and old, are also in the front line, breaking the glass ceiling, becoming thought leaders in the larger tech space. Not forgetting other societies marginalized. And when the tech Avengers come together, we inch closer to a much safer, efficient, and sustainable world. What we view as a norm in today's advanced world was just an idea, and for nostalgic reasons, we trace back to the iconic days to bring you the retro tech. On Technovation Show, we encapsulate all the pillars of the fourth industrial revolution, decoded in a language, all for one for all. Make a date with me, Samson Jura, every Monday at 8:30 as we push the mantra, keep learning something new each and every day. Only on KUTV, a new experience.
Right, welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Research conducted by Professor George Matofari of Egerton University has revealed that most of the milk being consumed in Rift Valley counties is contaminated with heavy metals, and according to him, the milk can also be linked to the rise of lifestyle diseases such as cancer, which is one of the leading causes of deaths in the country.
Professor George Matofari, who is a lecturer of food safety and microbiology at Egerton University, has raised concerns over the continued sale of unsafe milk in the country, specifically in the Rift Valley counties. According to his research, consumption of such milk is leading to health complications, which include stunted growth, poor development in adolescents, and the increased diagnosis of cancer cases in the country. The presence of toxins in the milk is mostly as a result of farmer negligence, as reported by the professor.
Whether microbial origin or chemical, they actually also affected the nutrient content of the milk itself. So the expected nutrients from the milk are also lost. So eventually, we all become malnourished instead of taking the correct quality.
He accused farmers of ignoring the gestation period needed for dairy animals to recover after being treated with antibiotics. He also made observations that ignorance from the inspectors at the Kenya Dairy Board, who are mandated to assess the quality of milk being circulated, was becoming costly and that they should get more accountable.
All this needs a lot of safety, a lot of what you call self-assessment guidelines in terms of this value chain of the milk, right from the farm to the market, because at every stage milk stands to be contaminated, and this is a very highly perishable product.
Although the problem seems to be out of hand, he advised that control measures be taken to handle the milk both pre and post harvest in order to curb the dire situation. Kenya's dairy industry has an annual milk production of close to 5 billion liters. The industry contributes about 8% to the GDP. However, it is of note that it is also a fundamental human right that every consumer receives quality goods and services. Reporting for KUTV, I am Stephanie Alice.
It was a win-win situation for players in the aviation and oil sector as jet fuel consumption hiked by 20% in the 6 months to June on increasing domestic flights and helicopter rides driven by heightened political activity ahead of the just concluded elections. From the financial arena, here is the business roundup.
bank loan defaults have crossed the $500 billion mark for the first time, setting up thousands of borrowers for property seizures in an economy hit with reduced cash flows and inflation that has squeezed household budgets and demand for goods. The latest Central Bank of Kenya data shows that defaulted loans rose by 30.6 billion shillings in June to 514.4 billion shillings, the sharpest monthly increase in recent history. The mounting defaults are a reflection of the struggles of workers and businesses in an economy that is yet to fully recover from a coronavirus-induced slump, which triggered job cuts and business closures. To a more positive report, where jet fuel consumption jumped by 20% in the 6 months to June on increasing domestic flights and helicopter rides, driven by heightened political activity ahead of the just concluded elections. Data from the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority shows that choppers and commercial jets consumed 361.69 million litres of fuel in the period, up from 298.96 million litres in a similar period last year. Kenyatta University has become the new hub of multi-billion shillings health investments after it was picked to host the first World Bank-funded regional infectious disease unit in East Africa. This comes days after the World Health Organization revealed plans to build Africa's first health emergency hub on a parcel of land on the institution. Africa faces more than 100 health emergencies a year, ranging from disease outbreaks to natural and man-made disasters. The property will be shared with other health agencies such as the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which also aims to improve its response timelines for public health emergencies in the region.
Hi guys, hello.
KCB Group reported a 27.5% rise in net profit for the half year ended June 2022, benefiting from higher income from lending and transactions. The lender's net income in the period stood at 19.5 billion shillings, up from 15.3 billion shillings the same time last year. The country's second largest bank by assets did not declare an interim dividend, but has had a tradition of paying an interim dividend of 1 shilling per share. Another player in the banking sector, Cooperative Bank Group, half-year to June net profits jumped 55.4% to 11.5 billion shillings on strong growth in customer lending and payment charges. The jump from 7.4 billion shillings in a similar period last year was propped by an 11.8% growth in net interest income from 18.8 billion shillings to 21.1 billion shillings. The bank's loan portfolio grew from 29 billion shillings to 330 billion shillings as the bank slowed down on government lending in favor of the private sector. Investment in government securities rose marginally to 183.2 billion shillings compared to 182 billion shillings in 2021. Co-op Bank Group also saw strong growth in non-interest income, which jumped from 29% to 13.3 billion shillings. And finally, Kenya Power Board has appointed former anti-graft boss Justice Aaron Ringera as a non-executive director of the company. The former Solicitor General was a member of the task force on the review of power purchase agreements, as well as the steering committee on the implementation of the report of the Presidential Task Force on the review of power purchase agreements. For the KUTV Business News Desk, I'm Zipporah Waruguru.
While still in the business realm, Fahari Aviation, a subsidiary of Kenya Airways Public Limited Company, has signed a service agreement with Kipkeba Limited, which is a subsidiary of Sassini Public Limited Company, to offer precision agricultural services. Fahari Aviation will use drone technology on the farm to offer agricultural services such as fertilizer application and chemical spraying on the tea farm. Kipkebe Farm will be used to benchmark the effectiveness of drone use, with a possibility to expand the services offering to other Sasini estates. Fahari Aviation will deploy high-capacity drones to cover over 33,000 acres of tea plantation in less than 2 weeks, saving an overall of 50% on cost and time efficiency in fertilizer spraying and spreading. Drone technology in agriculture also offers better accountability of product supply as well as improved accessibility to tough terrains. That aside, the rise of social media is an extraordinary example of how quickly and drastically social behaviors can change. Today we take a look at how the Kenyan youth is embracing the new media in their day-to-day life.
In the recent times, there has been a lot of YouTube marketers, content creators and developers. Come to think of it, what's the inspiration and the story behind those videos that have always made rounds on social media, either leaving you amused, inspired, or even motivated?
I create entertainment content. It mainly comprises of skits and rants, which is basically me enacting situations, could be real situations in life, just making light of things. It's not a serious life situation.
Niko na YouTube channel na nafanya videos, mob ni skits zenye niko nazo sahi currently. Ni skits hizi zenye unapanga na your fellow actors, mnakuja mnafanya kitu, na zingine ni pranks zile napata tu msena muambush na mfanyia tu jokes bila ya kujua.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord, for giving me a very beautiful girlfriend.
They all have different stories to tell, from their worst experiences to their achievements over the COVID-19 period.
Jesus. Najua unakaa nikiwa umepaka makeup.
Kai, na sijapaka. Babe, nakwambia ungejua mali uko nayo, ungecheza.
Lakini kuna wase hawajui mchezo. Nilipata mzae fulani hapa karibu nipige actually, so nikatoroka. Ni risky kufanya pranks, ni risky sana. Unaweza pata msee mwenye hajui hizo jokes na ni crazy.
Because you know, whatever you put out there is out for scrutiny, and netizens are very opinionated, and it's their right. You kind of give them this content, so they're going to scrutinize it. So whatever you put out there, just make sure it's something you like and you're comfortable with.
The worldwide YouTube statistics as of 2020 indicate that YouTube has got over 2 billion users worldwide, and 79% of internet users have an account. People watch an average of 1 billion hours on YouTube daily, while 400 hours of videos are uploaded every minute. 70% of YouTube watch hours come from mobile device users, while 62% of business adverts are done on YouTube. This makes it easy for about 90% of people who discover new brands and products on YouTube. The first ever video to be uploaded on YouTube was on 23rd of April 2005. It was an 18 seconds video titled Me at the Zoo.
Alright, so here we are in front of the elephants. Cool thing about these guys is that they have...
The video was uploaded by YouTube co-founder Jod Karim.
Alright, in front of the elephants. Cool thing about these guys is that they...
Due to the simplicity of YouTube, it has rapidly grown over the years, for it makes it easy for content creators to share their content with a large audience.
That aside, a Made in Kenya brand passionate about ethically making high-end goods for little ones is pushing the mantra Buy Kenya, Build Kenya in the global stage. Manufacturing of all its product is done in-house and is passionate about working with women and youth, helping Kenya towards attainment of our Vision 2030. Samson Jura brings you the story of what started out as a gift for a friend, which quickly grew into a business that is fixated on high standards of craftsmanship and attention to detail.
On arrival at this studio setup situated in Nairobi's Thome Estate, we are dumbfounded and left gasping at every bit of creativity expressed in form of infant clothing and toys made by a Kenyan brand called Eclair. Our attention is greatly drawn to how the high-end goods for the little ones are crafted using African print material, otherwise referred to in the local dialect as kitenge. Everything is crafted in this studio where on a normal day, the situation can be described to be as busy as a beehive with about 10 people working here. But for the purposes of filming, only 5, including our camera crew, could fit.
Power, like all the way.
Meet Claire Munyai, a creative entrepreneur and the founder of Eclair, a brand passionate about ethically making goods for children. After finishing design school while living in the United States of America, she tried her hand in the fashion design world, but being what is termed as a minority in the land of the free, she couldn't get opportunities to showcase her talent at an industrial level.
I was always, using my free time to make things. So that kind of grew into like a very rough idea of I would love a business where like my things are sold. Like the things that I make are saleable. And then that kind of evolved into my passion, which is really like made in Africa and women. So this ended up turning into like a women run and like we're working with women's space to make not just my brands, but now other people's brands. So I used to do like New York Fashion Week and LA Fashion Week, but what actually ended up bringing me back home is that, okay, first there were not enough opportunities for like Black women, youth, the funding, all of those things. So I reached a place where I said, I really want to continue making my own things, but I would rather do it at home.
Her primary vision coming back to Kenya was to only do the initial designs and samples, but to commission a factory to do the mass production, which didn't work out as she had envisioned. Being a stickler for high standards of craftsmanship and attention to detail, she decided to build a team enriched with skills to meet the quality of this type of art never seen before in Kenya.
There was a gap in the market in that we don't have very many like quality made in Kenya / made in Africa goods. It's changed since I started, but the idea was to bring the quality and bring a place where when guys work with you, they have that trust, they have that peace of mind, they're able to run their business, they're able to believe in your products and your brand.
Her staff is all women of a mature age, all being older than her, but the camaraderie is quite impeccable. I asked Claire if this was a prerequisite for working with and or for her, and this is a reservation about it.
You do get a lot of workplace kind of obstacles and challenges, more so with the youth that I have met. Not all youth, but additionally with tailoring, you need that experience. We found that we did have like a lot of youth, and we found it was really impacting us negatively because nobody had the experience.
Jen Wanjiro, who is one of the senior most tailors working at Eclair, talks about her experiences working with Claire for the past 5 years dealing in the craft.
I have been helping Claire make patterns for the samples. Because of my experience, she asks me a lot of questions, and we have been working for almost 5 years together. She has grown a lot. When I found her, she only had a couple of machines. Now, the number has increased and business is booming.
In this small studio, Eclair makes products for other international brands as well. Her largest clientele of the merchandise are people who visit the country and buy the products as gifts for their loved ones. And with the quality of product affecting the pricing of the commodity, many people locally don't find it economically viable since most want something for the last price, and this definitely affects how workers are paid. Claire insists on focusing on exports as it brings in more income and remains hopeful that many Kenyans will acclimatize to the high-end type of living and buy Kenya to build Kenya. It will be a feeling of total happiness when you visit a foreign country and go to their markets or shopping malls and find products made in Kenya by Kenyans for the rest of the world. And ICLE is one of these companies beside athletics that is putting Kenya on the global map. Samson Jura reporting for KUTV, Nairobi.
Well, at that we take another break. We'll be back with sports. Don't go too far.
KUTV, in conjunction with Kenyatta University Funeral Home, is now offering death announcements immediately following on news bulletins at 7 p.m. At this sorrowful time, as you share in your grief, allow us to communicate your announcement of your loved one on KUTV in both Kiswahili and English. For more details, kindly inquire at the KU Funeral Home Service Desk or call 0736 928 380 or dial 020-359-9054.
Today on the show we have Bernice, the proprietor and owner of Bernice Blossoms.
I have a younger sister who has like eczema and stuff. So she had irritations, she had really bad eczema. So when we started applying it on her, it started working. And I was like, so many people are fighting, are going through so many medical issues with their skin. I was like, why not try and sell it to other people and see how it works? So we're blossoming into something beautiful. We're making our skins look healthier through natural means, just like a flower would blossom.
Huu ni mkojo wa ng'ombe ambao wako hapa, na huu mtaro unawezesha mkojo kupita na kuingia katika mfumo wa kutengeneza biogas.
Ng'ombe ndio mtu akuwe na the lowest cost. Inafaa wewe mwenyewe hata kama hauna shamba upande, you just hire a piece of land upande chakula rather than kununua.
Back, let's now get sporty. The Chinese Volleyball Association apologized on Friday after their women volleyball team played their Asian Cup match in Iran while wearing face masks. The association apologized on its Weibo page for what they termed as causing widespread concern in the society after failing to tell its women's team to remove their face masks for an Asian Cup match in the Philippines. The team lost the opening set of Thursday's match against Iran while wearing the masks, but went on to win 3-1, finishing top of their group and moving into the quarterfinals. Elsewhere, the 23-time Grand Slam title winner Serena Williams will face Danka Kovinikov of Montenegro in a first-round match at the US Open on Monday, following the draw for the tournament. Williams is in the same quarter of the draw as second seed Net Kontaveit of Estonia, and the two will meet if both their matches at the year's final Grand Slam event. In the men's category, top seed defending champion Daniil Medvedev will face American Stefan Kozlov in the first match next week, while second seed Rafael Nadal starts against Australian Rinky Hijikata.
Show their kids what mom or dad do on the court, and it's such a big moment for the players.
Wrapping up our sports segment, former boxing legend George Foreman has been sued for alleged sexual assault Foreman was accused of sexual assault in the 1970s by two women who were teenagers, and according to lawsuits filed in Los Angeles, the 73-year-old was not identified by name but referred to as a former pro boxer who defeated Joe Frazier in 1973 to become a heavyweight champion. The two women, Denise and Gwen, claim to have been assaulted by Foreman at the age of 13 and 16 and 15 respectively. Well, we will leave it at that for the KUTV Primetime Bulletin tonight. Thank you so much for keeping us company. I've been in the company of Paul Wakoli, and I go by the name Daphne Ovina. Have a good night.
Driving and riding without incidences on the road is such an amazing experience. But do you know while many road traffic crashes are avoidable, human behavior continues to be the leading cause. Speeding, lane indiscipline, drunk